just money. It's not just, money or houses or cars or stuff. Expectation goes down to the minutest thing, like expectation of how they should talk, how they should respond, how they should look, how they should feel, how they should express themselves, how they should give attention. Expectations is just, unfortunately, the one thing that rules it all. But subhanAllah, that's all part of the process of resetting ourselves. What we're doing is to reset our acknowledgement. One thing that the brother was teaching me right now in the meeting was about gratitude, the science of gratitude. When you are grateful, gratitude only allows you to look at what you have, and that is everything. So if you were to look from like a microscope, you're looking at one thing. And when you're looking at that one thing, you're looking at that one thing with great detail. If you look at a mosquito and you microscopically go into a mosquito, it has 100 eyes. You can't see 100 eyes in that small mosquito. You see a little thing that you want to hit and kill. But when you look only at the mosquito, it is so beautiful in how Allah's created it, its limbs, its ability to what you call it, test the blood if it's acceptable or not to it, how it kind of semi-sedates you in the sense that you don't feel it pricking you or drawing blood from you. Allah created a whole machine in a mosquito. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example of a mosquito in the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ gives an example of mosquito in hadith. Why? Allah's saying just focus on the smallest of things. It becomes the greatest of things in your eyes. And if you focus on the greatest of things, what you've done is you broke your boundaries and borders. There's no borders. And so you're always living in insecurity. For example, you live in a house, the house has a fence, the fence defines your land, right? You know this is your land. So if Allah forbid something happens, your worry is this okay? This rectangle, is it okay? Imagine if you have no borders in your life. You're worrying, unnecessary worry. You're hoping and expecting for things that are never going to happen. You're wishing for things that are not accomplishable. Why? Because gratitude creates that focus. The lack of gratitude, no borders, no focus. So inshallah, we'll figure this one out too, inshallah, and reflect as we reset our level of gratitude, our expectations, our delivery, our returns from this. Marriage is an investment. You invest into it, you get from it. If we're not investing into marriage, it's kind of foolish to assume you couldn't just hope that because you have a store, you're going to become a millionaire. You have to invest in the store that you invested in making to make it a successful store, inshallah. So that being said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Chapter 4 is a Muslim woman and her husband. Marriage in Islam. In Islam, marriage is a blessed contract between a man and a woman in which each becomes permitted to the other. And they begin the long journey of life in a spirit of love, cooperation, harmony, and tolerance. Again, the permission that husband and wife become permitted to the other. And they begin a long journey of life. You are living an individual journey. Now you have a partner that will take this journey with you. It's cooperation, harmony, and tolerance, where each feels at ease with the other. You see, if these four essential qualities, I'm going off the book right now, if these four essential qualities of love, cooperation, harmony, and tolerance are embedded in a relationship, what happens is that you automatically feel ease with the presence of the other. It's like a phone that's dying and it's asking you, should I go into battery saving mode? Should I shut down all the apps? Should I do it's worried. And when you click it into charge, it's like I'm okay. It's like a person who's like, he's like, what should I do? But the food goes in the stomach, alhamdulillah. Or like, I'm sweaty and I have to go take a shower, go in the shower, alhamdulillah. Like it's that sense of relief, that sense of serenity is what marriage's presence, the presence of the other in the marriage should make you feel. Every time you see your spouse, you're with your spouse, you should feel like connecting to a charger, feel at ease. But that's only if love, cooperation, harmony, and tolerance are there. You will not only feel ease, but you'll also feel tranquility, contentment, and comfort in the company of the other. Isn't it ironic that today in our world, in our deen, in America, we do not find these things illa mashallah? Very rare. We don't find these things. It's like I was telling someone the other day based on the khutbah discussion, I was like, people cannot even as a couple talk about love with each other when that's one thing that this bond permitted, right? Islam made this Islam didn't permit that you have a wife now you could go have coffee with her or you could go have a dinner with her. It's a bond of love. It's no barriers here. And if that's the one subject matter that's the hardest to discuss with your spouse, it is a litmus test to show how strong or weak your marriage is. Love is the thing that you shouldn't talk about. It's a shameful thing. Then what is marriage about? Like, what is marriage about? When we as Muslims don't talk about love as a part of our religion, the world, and shaitan, of course, capitalized on that by lustful desires. And that's what our kids are going. They think dating in 6th grade is love. They think going out in 5th grade is love. They think having a partner for prom to go out with in prom is love. What is this homecoming and all this? Like, what have we done to ourselves? Don't blame your kids for this. Blame yourselves for not showing what true love and affection is about. Because if they saw a model of it, they would say this MTV and these models and these athletes and these celebrities, that's not love. That's something else. This is what the depiction of love is. So, going to the verse of the Quran that I quoted in the khutbah last week, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes a relationship between men and women that brings love, harmony, trust, and compassion in the most eloquent terms. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ verse 21 of chapter 30. So chapter 30, verse 21, Allah says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. What is a sign of Allah? A sign of Allah means that it reminds you Allah knows what He's doing. A sign. A sign is when the weather, subhanAllah, look how fast the weather changed this morning. It's a sign of Allah that He's in control of things. Like, you could have even cooled your house that fast as the temperature cooled outside. It was 61 and it went all the way to 48 just within an hour and a bit. So subhanAllah, Allah is saying, this is my sign. What is His sign? He created for you mates. He created for you your mate, your partner, who is amongst yourself, meaning they're humans, they're people, they have the same aspirations and wishes and desires. They're humans. Allah created a human for Adam alayhi salam in heaven, yes or no? Yes. He had heaven. He didn't need anything. But what did he ask Allah for? I need a partner. So human inclination is desires. The human desires connection. And connection, inshallah, the next 10 years of this boom in technology, artificial intelligence, will fail. And inshallah, its failure will remind you that it was human connection that we crave for, not social media connection or you know what you call it, connection with a virtual world. We wanted connection with the real world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I already did that for you. I created for you mates from amongst yourselves so that you can dwell in tranquility with Him. The whole purpose of marriage and love and compassion and cooperation was to have peaceful life. The home is everything else but peace. And He put love and mercy between your hearts. This is the strongest of bonds. Allah, when He talks about bonds and relationships, He should have, if Allah was selfish, He would say, you know, this is how you should be, this is how you should act with me, and this is how you should feel with me. He didn't talk about that. He talked about how you should feel with each other. And when you feel that with each other, that's the bond that Allah put. Now you could understand what the feeling with Allah is. He made His connection with you the ultimate goal, but the prerequisite for it is your connection with your parents, your connection with your spouse, your connection with your children, your connection with your relatives, your connection with your society. This will help you value your connection with Allah. Right? It reached there, but also value it. You see, if Mount Everest was a small hill, who cares about it? No one would even take a picture of it. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain in the world. People die going up there. Dead bodies are lying on Mount Everest in different places. Why? Because it was such a thing that they wanted to accomplish. Allah wants you to accomplish a connection with Him, so He made these stages of relationships to reach there. This is the strongest of bonds in which Allah unites the two Muslim partners who come together on the basis of love, understanding, cooperation, and mutual advice, and establish a Muslim family in which children will live and grow up, and they will develop the good character and behavior taught by Islam. The Muslim family is the strongest component of a Muslim society when its members are productive and constructive, helping and encouraging one another to be good and righteous, and competing with one another in good works. So when you have a good marriage, you have good children, you have a good family. When you have a good family, it helps make the greater society productive and constructive. What is the Muslim community doing today in America? Could anyone answer that question? What is the Muslim community in America doing today? Where are we collectively constructive or productive?
None.
Nothing. Nothing.
That's why you're here.
Okay, we have what? Maybe like 200 food pantries around America? MashaAllah. But that's not our constructive effort. We have, mashallah, 50 free health clinics in America from the Muslim community. Again, these are silos. What has the Muslim community at large done in America? Nothing. We are today applauding individual accomplishments. If a Muslim becomes a politician, we'll applaud him or her. If a celebrity, we'll applaud him or her. If they are a coach for football, we'll applaud him. That's all we're doing. Where are we as an ummah? The fact that all we can find right now are single examples, and they're not like everywhere, they're sporadic, one in like 1,000 or maybe tens of thousands, maybe even millions, because there's 330 something million people in America. It goes to show how we failed. Again, Allah wants you to be strong, to make a marriage that's stronger, to make children who are the strongest, that makes the community the greatest. So we are on a downward spiral. Everything is going down right now. And so here, the Muslim family is the strongest component of a Muslim society. We don't even have a Muslim society. Think about it. Let's talk about our community here. We have, on average, maybe 5,000 people come to this masjid every week. The 2 Jummahs alone is close to 3,000 something. Every day we have a few hundred people, like 5,000 people. Can any one of you tell me what this Muslim society looks like? There is none. Everyone's just doing their thing. Until I personally believe we shouldn't call this an ummah. The reason being is that we haven't become the ummah yet. There is a different vibe, a different feeling, a different result of an ummah. To tell your child who has those keys, Fisher Price keys, and say, these are keys. They're not keys. They look like keys. They imitate keys. A real key is metal, and it may hurt you. It may poke you. It may hurt you, right? So you don't tell your child with those rubber ones that they could chew on as teethers that these are keys. They're fake, right? You don't take that and open any door with it. We're using those fake keys today and saying the ummah. This is what the ummah is supposed to look like. But those fake ones who are saying the ummah is. So tomorrow, where is the ummah going to go when we keep on saying ummah? We're using the word and term very loosely because we think, oh yeah, ummah means a whole bunch of people. I remember my friend in Saudi used to work for Al-Jabri. Al-Jabri is one of the largest sellers of livestock in Saudi. And when it comes to Hajj, millions of animals are slaughtered. And they have three huge slaughterhouses. Uh, over 70 or 80% of it, Al-Jabri runs the animals for it. And he took me one night to Jeddah, and we saw the ship. The ship opened up, and you could see layers, just layers and layers. It's like decks of just animals, and they're
Each other?
no, there's floors, and they're just animals, 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 and then they're emptying them one by one, and there's huge pens on where they're going. The question was like, all these goats or sheep are together. None of them for a second said, "Hey guys, we're one ummah." No, if I can jump on your back to get out of this ship and run for my life, I'm good. All I need is your back, your head, your toe, and I'm out. So it looked beautiful, but the reality was it was just a number. There was no substance. Because when it comes time to slaughtering, each one will push the other one forward and say, let me save myself. They're all going to be slaughtered. The question is, who's first and who's last? The ummah today is being slaughtered. The question isn't China, Burma, Palestine. The question is who's first, who's last. That's all it is. It's coming around. The day is coming in America, sisters. Remember my word, the day is coming in America. Don't think for the single second that everyone around the world or here in America were safe. Since we never created that strong ummah, because the strong ummah was based on strong families, the amount of problems we have in our communities is evident of the fact that we don't have strong homes. And the strong homes is the weak homes are a result of broken marriages. Broken marriages are a result of broken individuals. Broken individuals are a result of broken parents who are a broken couple because they're broken individuals who are children of a broken couple. You see how it's going down? It's just a break, 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 break. It just keeps breaking. And so I don't think any of us, including myself, have ever experienced the feeling of an ummah yet. We have not. So, the Muslim family is the strongest component of a Muslim society when its members are productive and constructive, helping and encouraging one another to be good and righteous, and competing with one another in good works. The righteous woman is the pillar. Now, this is where it's coming down to. So, you're saying good parents, right? Who's the pillar? Now, sisters, there was always a concern that Allah says men are qawamun. Qawamun doesn't mean they're dictators. They don't have the right to be dictators. They are leaders in the sense that the responsibility of what happens is on their shoulder, right? Allah will judge them on this. Doesn't mean they have a free ride. But guess what? The pillar of the Muslim family are the women folk. The cornerstone of the Muslim family is the women folk. The lifeline of a family is the woman. And if now the conversation is going to turn and say, well, why do we have to have the responsibility? To me, is not the right question to ask, especially when for the longest time, a lot of modern Muslim women have been saying, why is man better than a woman in a marriage or in creation? Allah didn't say that. Allah said man and woman are equal in creation. But when it comes to inna sa'yakum lashatta, that your responsibilities and roles differ, know that a man is responsible for the outcome in Allah's eyes. If it's messed up, he's going to answer. You're not. If the kids go wrong, he has to answer, not you. But the cornerstone that helps this grow is the mothers. You initiate the process, they complete the process. In the absence of the seed, there is no plant, there is no fruits, there is no leaves. In the absence of the woman, there is no family. There's no family in the absence of a woman. And again, the question now is being circulated, why should you slave for these kids who will grow up and be ungrateful? Why should I have kids that are going to be ungrateful anyways? No, the question is, one size does not fit all. Always going to be some kids who are going to be ungrateful and some kids are going to be grateful, but it depends on, are you looking at the end result and fearing who you are, or are you ready to plant yourself as a seed and say, you know what, may Allah grow from me what Allah wants from me. It's there are marriages that have collapsed. There are families that are disoriented. That's because of the lack of investment that the mother and father put into it. But you can't use that as an example. So, oh, we shouldn't have kids. Kids don't want to have kids anymore. We don't want to get married. We want to have kids. Why? Well, then how is humanity going to continue? How are you going to allow the goodness in you to be inherited by someone else who could live your legacy? The women are the pillar, the cornerstone, and foundation of a Muslim family. Let's never forget, Muslim women worked at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Khadija radiallahu anha, she worked. Aisha radiallahu anha, she taught, she worked. The Sahabiyat went out to war and they worked. They were nurses, they were doctors, everything happened. But you know one thing that didn't go wrong? They never compromised family because of work. Today, they're being taught, compromise the world, compromise your parents, compromise your siblings, compromise your religion. But you should have the right to live your life. Yeah, go live your life and die alone. I'm waiting for that day. May Allah allow me to live that day. I could read in the newspaper, it says it was the biggest failure that we told people to live their lives and they die alone. There's no one there for them. 25% of millennials don't have a single friend. A recent study done by Vice. 25% of this generation doesn't have a friend. It's starting. It's just starting. Give it time. Why should they have friends? They don't have families anymore. So understand here that if the world, and I know it sounds rough because so many, we grew up hearing scholars say, if you want to look at the future, look at the women of today. If you want to see how strong families are, look at the woman. But the Prophet ﷺ is telling us realistically, maybe the words that the scholars and the preachers are using may not come across the way it should, but truly the women are the cornerstones of our world. The world cannot exist without the women. Our children cannot exist without the women. Society cannot become better except through women. And that's why she is seen as the greatest joy. As the Prophet ﷺ said, this world is just temporary conveniences. It's like, you got a coffee, it's temporary, right? You got food, it's temporary. After food, then it's dinner, you're hungry again, right? Car runs, then it may die. House you buy, it gets old. It's temporary conveniences. Everything in this world is just temporary conveniences. And the best comfort in this world is a righteous woman. The Prophet ﷺ is not saying that he's not, we're living in, and forgive me for saying this, we're living in a human meat market in America today. A woman is only like a symbol of marketing. The Prophet ﷺ is not marketing a woman here. He's saying that the best comfort in our world is righteous women. Women who understand and who are committed to building the world. Because when they're building the world, they're building themselves. If the foundation is so important, ask yourself, imagine the foundation telling the top of Burj Khalifa, hey, you know what? Everyone looks up at you and I'm the one holding you. Right? I'm the one sitting in the ground holding you up, and everyone looks at you and the firecrackers, but I'm the one holding you up. It's not fair. Let me go on top for a bit. The foundation moves and goes up. What happens? Tell me. The whole building's gone. That's exactly what they did to the women folk. Why should everyone get the credit? Why should everyone shine? You come and shine too. So they took women out from the world where only women can play. I'm not saying be slaves in your homes. Do your jobs, have careers. But the second that line is transgressed, it's crossed, that I don't need to focus on my family. They're old enough to figure out themselves. I need to live my life. That's the mentality that kills you. There's no such thing as my life. Even for a man, and forgive me if that's become the cultural norm. The man says, I can do what I want. No, the man is doing what you built. You built the foundation. The man has to build the building. The children have to build their building. It's going to connect. But you're the foundation. And if you think that they can go around doing what they want, that's wrong. They have to build systematically on a foundation that you lay. Now they're saying, be a husband and wife, do your own stuff. So without the foundation, husband's trying to build his empire, women's trying to build her career, and both are going to clash into each other and fall. Why? The foundation isn't there. The foundation's the most important part of a building, even though no one ever looked at it. And no one will ever see it. You pay what, 500 dirhams right now to go up to Burj Khalifa. And is there a price to go down and see the foundation? There's no price. You want to see the foundation of Burj Khalifa? 200 dirhams. No one's going to go down and look at mud. People want to look at the sky from there. But remember, you are able to see the sky because something under the ground allowed you to get that high. The Prophet ﷺ saying the world is just temporary conveniences. Chalo gadi mil gayi, you got the car you wanted, you got the clothes you wanted, you got the house you wanted. It's temporary. The best comfort in this world is a righteous woman. He wanted every woman not to be pious. See, the word piety has been taken out of context also. Muslima, muttaqi, this has all been taken out of context. A righteous woman who will do greatness for everyone and the world as she does greatness for herself. Her family is the backbone on which she's the backbone of her family, and her family sprouts from her. There's nothing greater than this, and it's not temporary. It is hereditary. It continues to grow and get bigger. A righteous woman is the greatest blessing that Allah can give to a man. For with her, he can find comfort and rest after the exhausting struggle. With his wife, he can find incomparable tranquility and pleasure. So this is how the Prophet ﷺ is explaining, is that the strain of the world, Allah has given the capacity in the man to confront the strains of the world. And Allah gave the mother the capacity to build for the husband to continue elevating the strain, but also to then put that weight on top of her because she's the foundation and she'll be able to hold him up. Right? So the thing is that she's doing an amazing job because without her, her son wouldn't find that resort and strength from the mother to get past his metric exam, his algebra exam. Her daughter wouldn't be able to get past her history exam because she's the one who sinks it all in and holds them up. Right? That's what a mother can do. And that's what a righteous woman's about. We're saying, you know what? Everyone to themselves. That, lakum dinukum waliyatin. You have your way, I have my way. Let's all have our own way. Who's holding people up? Who's holding who up? How can a woman be the best comfort in this world? How can she be a successful woman, true to her own femininity, and honored and loved? This is what will be explained in the following pages. Number one, the first step toward being the good woman, the righteous woman. I'm sure we all want to be that, right? Inshallah. We want to be righteous men and women, righteous Muslims and Muslimas. Why? Because life is only once. You can go testing different ways and you'll only see it fail, or you can do it the way the Prophet ﷺ told us to, because Allah said it, and you will see ultimate goal. In the world's tests and trials and errors, it's always going to spike first. It's going to be so good, and it's only going to nosedive after. With Islam, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't look good, but when the time comes, it will make a true rise, and it's going to be a sustainable rise. So what's the first step to becoming a righteous woman? And this is where you all, as mothers already, mashallah, need to instill this now in your children. Because part one, the first, many who are here have done that, and that is getting married. And not just getting married, but she chooses a good husband. See, choosing a good husband. See the difference in word? You want to marry because you like them, or you like how they look, or you like what they do. The Prophet ﷺ, when he said about these things, like, what? Taribat yadak, may your hands be stuck in dirt. Like, what are you thinking about? A righteous, good husband. You look for a good husband. What does it mean by a good husband? What, like, if you're building a house, you go and select the kitchen, right? The granite countertop or the wooden countertop, or what is the other one nowadays? Course. So they're looking at different type. You're choosing, right? Why? Because that's going to be the counter on which you're going to clean, you're going to cut, you're going to serve, you're going to eat. So you're looking for what's best for your kitchen, right? If a person is not going to cook in the kitchen, eat in the kitchen, then they really don't care much, except just optics, right? It looks nice. The thing is that you are going in marriage, you're going to have a lifestyle being built. Now you're saying, I'm strong enough physically, mentally, and spiritually, that I'm going to get married and I'm willing to hold this weight on my head. And this is just one weight, because now when you have children, that's going to be a weight on top of this weight. And all you're going to do in your life is going to be lifting that weight. We admire people in Olympics who lift like 500 pounds, 1,000, whatever. They're lifting these pounds. Everyone's cheering while they lifted it up. That's what a woman does. She lifts the world up. But instead of telling the woman through Islam that you lift the world up, they're saying, we'll lift you up and then you'll be up in the world. No, you are made by Allah to lift the world. For that to happen, you need the right things. If you don't get the right weights, the right amount, the one that's conducive for you, it's going to be a problem. Nowadays, people are marrying without considering what does it mean to choose the right person. You ask 5 girls right now. Go home and ask 5 girls in your homes, what does it mean to have a good husband? What is a good husband? I promise you, each answer will be different. One person could just say if they want to stay in the green area, like they don't want to be wrong, they would say, a good husband who's going to pray 5 times namaz, has a beard. That's not a good husband. Praying namaz is a duty. Today our Islam has become so shallow in our society. When people talk about marriage, I found someone, potential spouse, they pray 5 times a day. It's like saying, I found a husband, they eat Eggo waffles every day. So that's good. That's good. That means that they're healthy. Like, that's not supposed to be what you look at. What does it mean to choose a good husband? One of the ways in which Islam has honored women is by giving her the right to choose her husband. Yes. Islam has given the woman the right to choose her husband. But her choice of her husband has to be validated by her father. But she can choose. And what has to be the overarching criteria? The person is good. It's going to be the weight you're going to hold as you build this building, right? Her parents have no right to force her to marry someone she dislikes. The really bad thing that's happening in our cultures, and this has been happening, if a son is in bad habits, get him married off and it'll get better. No, he's going to ruin another person's life. And if they have kids, they're going to ruin a whole generation's life. You cannot, as parents, force your child to marry someone, be it the son or the daughter. And if you know your son or daughter has certain ailments, or I'm not talking about physical, I'm talking about spiritual ailments, you need to make sure that they don't continue people sick because of it. Okay? Marriage isn't the solution to cover up your honor. You know, with sons, it's just a certain level of hypocrisy in our ummah that the son could go out, do what he wants, something gets bad, we'll get him married off. Don't worry, no one will find out. And daughters, no, we already decided at the age of 10 you're going to get married to that person. No, she's lifting that weight, not you. Let her decide and be a part, I think the best word to say, a part of the decision-making process of the good husband.
But her father has to agree
Yes.
with her.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The father has to agree. So that doesn't mean she can go and run off and get married. But this is the beginning of explaining what a good husband is. See, if the criteria is aligned, there will be a common consensus. If the criteria aren't aligned, there's always going to be a clash. Why can't she choose her husband? The Muslim woman knows this right, but she does not reject the advice and guidance of her parents when a potential suitor comes along because they have her best interest at heart and they have more experience of life and people. So she has her, she has the right understanding, they have a right understanding, she feels this is right, they can validate that because they've lived longer and they have more experience. At the same time, she does not forego this right because of her father's wishes. Not that, okay, my father told me to marry this guy, he came from back home, I never saw him, but my dad said, okay, fine, we'll just go. No, she doesn't let go of that right because of her father's wishes that may make her force his daughter into a marriage with someone she likes. We have these two extremes. We had the extreme like 10 years ago where parents were forcing their children, and now we have an extreme children are forcing their parents. It's happening. It's the total opposite. Like parents are coming saying they found them, they're in love, you have to go ahead and get the nikah done. So as he put it so eloquently, she has a right. They have understanding. She doesn't overwrite them, and nor does she for okay, my father said so, so I'm gonna do it. Mom is insisting. Don't compromise your future because you want to appease your parents. As we talked last week, obedience and respect, two different things. Don't mix the two up. You have to understand it's your life, not their life. And so if you're gonna live out their life wishes, you've lost your life. They had the time to live their wishes. Now it's time for you to live your purpose. There are many texts that support the woman in this sensitive issue. For example, the report quoted by Imam Bukhari from Khansa bint Khidam. My father married me to his nephew, and I did not like this match. So I complained to the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said to me, accept what your father has arranged. I said, I do not wish to accept what my father has arranged. He said, then this marriage is invalid. What did he say first? Accept it. He said, I don't want to. Goes and it's done. He created the balance because you're talking about a society where there was no consent at all. So he explained from that angle, first saying, accept it. If not, he said, it's not valid. Because as much as their part in the marriage is essential, your word in the marriage is also essential. He said, this marriage is invalid. Go marry whoever you wish. I said, I have accepted what my father has arranged, but I wanted women to know that fathers have no right in their daughters' matters, i.e., they have no right to force a marriage on them. SubhanAllah, the shamelessness in our society today. I know people who are sending their sons and daughters off to other people just so that they can get their immigrations. And as soon as immigration is done, their lives are ruined, the divorces happen. He got what he wanted. She's like, what just happened here? It's all dirty politics. As a person born and raised in the West, I don't understand still how politics has seeped into our religion. I remember I want to give you it was a business. It should be sacred and holy. And a brother said that this man will sell his mother if he had to for money. And I didn't understand what he meant. And then I understood from his work ethics. The under the table discussions of people, when your kids become of age to get married, you don't know what kind of things you'll be exposed to. I'm not there yet, but all the stories I've heard and I've witnessed and I'm counseling, not just here. I've been doing this stuff for 14 years of counseling. It's sad. It is so sad. The mother is in America, mother's sister's in Pakistan. So they make an agreement that her son will marry her daughter so that he could get immigration. And all along she's saying, I don't want this. And she's saying, if you don't do this, you're not my daughter. See how now he gets his immigration. He has no inclination towards her. She is like, okay, I have to accept this and I have to make this work. So she puts aside her aspirations of the life of becoming that weight bearer. And she tries to find that love and affection with him, all while he's using her just to get his green card and off he goes. Do you see how much trauma?
Common.
Huh?
Very common.
Very common. Very common.
I've seen so many too.
It's like, and that's when I ask the question, what kind of Muslim are we? If I was a Muslim because of Muslims, I would reject this faith right now. I don't need it. I'm sorry. I tell myself every morning I'm getting up to serve Allah and Islam and not Muslims. There's a distinction. Because when you look at the character and the ways of Muslims who use the name of Allah and they use it in a way that they are twisting the religion blatantly, you feel sorry for these kids. Why are they becoming atheists? Why are they running from Islam? They're not running from Islam. They're running from the twisted ideology that you presented in the name of Islam. And so the Prophet ﷺ made it very clear. This is one case where he told Al-Khansa radiallahu anha, obey your father. And it is as it should be. Because the concern of fathers for their daughter, you would hope parents truly love and care about their kids. But you know what you'll find, unfortunately, and may we not be like those, that they truly care about their name and image more than their children. I know parents who got payoffs to get their daughters married off to people. And what they say, oh, this is good for you. Your Jannah is in this. Your parents approve of this. Do this and your mother will be happy. It's called blackmailing. You're blackmailing your own child, your own blood for this stuff. Like, how far do we go? There's no lower, like in our current day affairs, you think we hit rock bottom in Islamic twisting and it just keeps on getting lower and lower. So the Prophet ﷺ, he weighed in support of the father, because as a father, be concerned about your daughters. Their well-being should be there. But when he realized that the father wanted to force her into a marriage she did not want, because he realized that he was not thinking for her well-being and her interests, he gave her the freedom to choose. Your parents should love you and care for you. But if your parents are not loving and caring for you and doing what's right for you, then you need to take the reins of control in your hand. And you have to get out of the emotional blackmailing and cursing and all that stuff, because that's all you get in results. So this is just, again, it's a systematic trend of all this wrong that's been assumed to be right in the name of culture and personal benefit. Islam wasn't destroyed by the TV. Islam was not destroyed by politicians. Islam was not destroyed by wars. Islam wasn't destroyed by the TV. Islam was not destroyed by politicians. Islam was not destroyed by wars. Islam was not destroyed by music. Islam was not destroyed by Western culture. Islam was destroyed by Muslims. No one else. Stop. We have to stop blaming the world for this. This is just one case in the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, and he made a very cut distinction. Do it, leave it. There's no beating around the bush in this. Now imagine for the girl who does it for the sake of their parents' emotional blackmailing. And then they have to live with the consequence of a relationship that they're not happy in. So she's not going to carry it. She doesn't want it. She's no longer carrying the world. She's dragging it. Now with him, she has a child. She thinks that it's going to make things better. But then she sees in the child, as the child grows up, a reflection of her husband who she despises. She thinks, let's have another child. Maybe it's going to make it better. And every time she does this, she's only making that burden heavier on herself. And ultimately, she will die like this, or she will leave this, and at that time, she will have so much pain and arthritis of dragging, she won't have the energy to lift. So there's a vertical growth and a horizontal growth. Horizontal growth is where the world is right now. Everyone's thinking, spread yourself. The earth is flat type of thing. Keep on spreading yourself. No, Islam taught us about vertical growth. Grow like this. Huh? Buildings are admired because they're tall. How many people go to these? Dallas has big factories, right? How many people take pictures of these big, long factories? 1 story, 2 story. No one cares about them. But if it's like a 50, 100-story building, people will go look at it. Why? Because it's vertical growth. Vertical growth is admirable. It's exactly what Allah wanted. But we're talking about horizontal growth. Everyone's just dragging their life. So going back to this, Islam does not want, he gave her the freedom to choose and save her from the oppression of a father who wanted to force her into an unwanted marriage. Islam does not want to impose an unbearable burden on women by forcing them to marry a man they dislike because it wants marriages to be successful. Now remember here, as much as it wants her marriage to be successful, that success is based on a foundation of principles, not desires. Remember this. Brother came to me, Darius, and said, how many of our Muslim girls are marrying non-Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and stuff? I said, well, you just realize that now? It's been happening for the longest time. Why? Because they are rebelling and they're saying, I have the right to choose. They do have the right to choose. But that choice comes on the foundation of principles, not on the foundation of desires. For example, you go to a theme park, it's for fun, right? But even rides have principles. You cannot take your purse on this ride. You cannot wear glasses or a hat. You have to be this tall and able to fit in this seat. Yes? If a person is shorter, it's not based on age now. It's based on height. So if you're not this tall for this roller coaster, you cannot go on it. Now you could say, well, I paid for this fun experience and I desire to go on it. They'll say, no, you cannot, because there's principles that dictate who comes on this ride. In the same way, our life has to be governed, not dictated, governed by principles. So if she wants to marry someone, go ahead. Let's talk about it. Open the conversation. But I'm only going to consent to it as a father if the principles are what we agree upon. At that time, it's not the culture, it's not the color, it's not the looks, it's about principles. But what are kids doing? Well, if they're coming from the Indo-Pak community, they want to marry someone who's white. If they're, all these things are going. Why? Because their desire is saying, I want something different, something opposite, something unique. If I don't like my religion, I'll marry a Christian. If I don't like Islam, I'll marry an atheist. I'll marry a Hindu. What's wrong? They're all human beings. They're all Allah's creations. You've got it wrong. You've gone to desires. There's no end to desires. What's the principle? That you and your husband and you are going to build life together. If you have a problem at home or you want work done at home, you don't go look for a carpenter to do your plumbing. There's a criteria. You don't say, could someone come and work in my house? No, I'm looking for a painter. I'm looking for a plumber. I'm looking for a landscaper, right? Criteria, principles. If a person's good at painting, doesn't mean they're good at cutting grass, right? So you cannot improvise thinking that one thing will give you the other. Principles is the foundation on which a marriage will be successful. Based on compatibility between the partners, there should be common ground